and taboo in our community. Our guest tonight is the beautiful Sierra Rainge-Jones. She is a wife, a mother. She's the CEO of Live Limitless Media Group. She's a success coach, and advocate in the community. And we will be discussing her journey through overcoming adversity and the importance of self-care. Also, entrepreneurship and her Live Limitless brand.
Welcome, Sierra, to Candid Conversations.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here with you guys today.
Finally, we have you here. We know you're busy.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to say how beautiful you look.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely
you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Are amazing.
We see you making all kind of moves in the community, but we want to get to know you on a more personal level.
Yes.
Can you share with us where were you born and tell us a little bit about your upbringing?
Absolutely. So, funny thing is, I grew up here in Orlando, Florida. Both of my parents, my family's from Orlando, Florida.
Oh, okay.
But I was actually born on an Army base out in Oklahoma. My father at the time was in the Army.
What?
Yeah. My parents had gotten married really early at 18.
Okay.
It didn't work out.
Okay.
So about 4 years old, I moved back here to Florida with the rest of our family.
Okay.
My childhood, we had a very close proximity to poverty and all the different social and economic, disparities that come along with that type of upbringing.
Yes, right.
I grew up around a lot of addiction. Those very close to me suffered with addiction.
So sorry
but I grew
about
up around a lot of love. I come from a
Yes.
very huge family. I have 5 brothers and 4 sisters.
wow.
Big family.
A huge family, lots and lots of cousins, very tight knit. So,
Love it.
Things were challenging, but I thank God I had a really strong family to fall on.
That's right.
When you say challenging, what do you mean regarding your environment, or was it in the household?
I would say the environment and also the household. My family, especially my mother, my parents split when I was really young. And so for the most part, I was raised with my mother in a single parent household.
Okay.
It was me and my
tough.
3 sisters. Yeah,
Okay.
it was tough. It was really tough for her. I learned to give her a lot of grace once I became a mother.
Yes.
Because as a kid, I understood. As a kid, I had no understanding. And it was tough for us. My mother was raising 3 daughters on her
Yes.
own, and she was managing her own mental wellness.
Yes.
She was battling her own childhood traumas because she herself had been abandoned at 2 by her mother. And she got a chance to meet her biological mother right before she passed, only to find out that her biological mother was adopted too.
Oh my goodness.
And so our childhood was very strained. It was just, I would say, a lot of violence, a lot of dysfunction. We just did not seem to have a way to operate in peace in that home. And that comes from generations of
Absolutely.
Dysfunction and unhealed trauma.
Yes.
And so my mother, very powerful, very anointed woman, she just struggled.
Yes.
Okay.
I can't imagine what it was like, raising us
Of
Right,
course.
by herself.
by herself.
It's tough.
And she did it. I think we had our breaking point, a breakthrough in our relationship, I would say about 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
And of course, we were in a heated argument and we were yelling and screaming. And she said, "You guys always give me such a hard time. You always say I'm this, I'm that.
Right.
But what y'all don't know is I did it on my own and I didn't leave y'all." And when she said I didn't leave y'all, something about that shifted my perspective. And I learned to give her compassion. I'm like, you know what? Her mother left her.
There you go.
And then her mother's mother left her. So the best way that she knew how to be a good mother was to stay.
Be present.
So she stayed, and she stayed with all of her mess, and she wasn't the best, but she was there.
Yeah.
And in her mind, that was being a good parent.
Right.
And so my journey in motherhood has been to I guess, heal from the generational pain that comes along with abandonment and neglect. And so just having that understanding, I learned to give her grace and appreciate the journey. I had to say, you know what, thank you for not leaving.
Absolutely.
It wasn't easy. It was a lot of things you could have done better. There are a lot of things that you've done that have damaged me, that have hurt me, but I give you grace.
Yes.
Because I'm looking at my 3 daughters, and because you stayed, because let's say you left. If you left, then I would have been in that same position that you're in, trying to navigate neglect and navigate abandonment, but you stayed. And it was painful, but you passed the torch. And so now I get to raise 3 amazing daughters who haven't experienced any type of trauma or abuse, but it had to start with her. And so just having that intergenerational understanding has brought about a lot of healing for us. And so
you broke the generational
I broke the curse. I broke the curse. So a lot of my adversity growing up, I would say, was just having that really hard in-home upbringing. You know, it wasn't, you know, it was a little rough. It was a little rough, but We survived it. I'm so grateful.
Yes, I'm so glad that
grateful.
you were able to get with your mom and talk things out. You know, it was kind of hurtful, but you were able to, you know, express yourself and tell her how you felt.
Yeah, it's not easy because sometimes the truth is the hardest.
Oh, yes.
It's hard.
Yes.
It's hard to express it and it's hard to receive it.
Right.
And she didn't like to hear my perspective of what my childhood was.
She thought she was doing a good job.
She thought she was doing a good job, but I had to let her know, well, let me just let you know how it was on my end.
Right. This is what I was missing.
Yeah.
This is what I didn't get.
And please don't discount that.
Right.
Even if it wasn't your intention to make me feel small, it wasn't your intention,
Right.
this is how it affected
That's
me.
right.
And I need you to own that right now.
Yeah.
Did your sisters feel the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she felt ganged up on.
Oh.
And I realized then I had to break through to the little girl in her, you know, and that's hard as a child.
Yes.
Just to have to speak to the broken part in my mother.
Right.
And it took a lot. It was a painful conversation.
It was.
You know, it was tears, and it started out with yelling and crying, but we got through it.
But look where you're at now.
Yeah,
glad you
and
did.
it's beautiful. My mother, she's my full-time nanny while I'm working. She takes care of my 3 daughters.
Look at that.
And she has my daughters love
Of course, they
their
grandma.
Nama, okay?
Nama.
She said
That's
They
cute.
love their Nama.
That's cute.
And it's beautiful to see them with her because their experience is nothing like my experience.
It's totally different.
And she deserves for me to allow her to exist in that space with them, you know?
It's like she
Glad
gets
you
to
did
do it
that.
all over again.
She gets to do it all and better.
Yes.
I just had to give her some grace.
She got a second. She got a second chance.
She deserved it.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful.
deserves
What a
it.
sweet story.
Yeah.
Thankful. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. It's nothing like a mom.
Oh, no.
And growing up, I always wanted a close relationship with my mother. I always wanted that. I would see young girls out with their mother. I'm like, I really wish I had that.
Right.
But
Now you have it.
I have it.
And you're so young still that you have your whole life ahead of you to just enjoy
Yes.
it. I'm so happy for you.
Forgiveness is so important.
Absolutely.
And grace and compassion and understanding, because we had to meet in the middle. I had to understand what does motherhood look like for you? How can that journey be different for me? How can we meet here, heal here,
Yes.
so that we don't continue to, you know, traumatize future generations?
Wow.
Because it had to stop here.
Had to.
It had to stop here.
stopped it.
But it started with her. She stayed.
That's wonderful.
she
And I
said-
know you are the best mom ever.
I tried.
With your daughters.
There's no book on it.
It's not, I tried.
Yes.
You know, I still have my things. I'm really busy. My kids will probably grow up and say, my mom was always working.
Grandma was with you. Nana was with you.
Nana was there. Y'all had food. Y'all were well taken care of.
And I'm doing this for you.
I'm doing it for them.
Right.
Yeah, my daughter, she makes me feel so good. All of her little friends follow me on IG, and it's like,
that's
oh,
sweet.
Danae, your mom's famous, and she brags. So it makes me feel good to know that she's proud of me. You know,
As
she's
a role
proud.
model right there in her house.
She brags, and so I love that. I
I'm
love
happy
it.
for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Did you go to school here in
Yeah,
Orlando?
I did.
Where'd you go?
I went to Grand Avenue Elementary. We were living on Grand Street at the time. We moved around a lot. You know, we were on Section 8, and so we just kind of moved around a lot. So I started out on Grand Street.
Okay.
Actually, I started in Apopka.
Okay.
And so I went to Lovell Elementary, then
Okay.
moved to Orlando. I went to Grand Avenue. I went to Robert E. Lee Middle.
Okay.
And then for high school, I went to Edgewater. And then my senior year, I graduated from Evans High School. Because by that time,
Floridian.
You were hopping.
hopping all around. So I've lived in pretty much every underprivileged community in Central Florida. I've lived there.
You can tell a story though.
Yes.
You know, because a lot of times people think that if you come from an underprivileged community that you're not going to amount to anything. You know, a lot of times people will say that, but
That's fake news.
it is fake news. It really is fake news.
I had some amazing mentors, especially once I got to college. Like I think growing up, I loved to be in sports because I didn't want to go home, and so I would any sports sign me up. After school, sign me up. And so my focus at that time was I got to go to college. That was my escape. I'm going to go to college. And so I got accepted into Florida A&M University,
Yes.
proud Rattler,
Yes.
bleed orange and green. And so going to college really, really opened my
Your
mind
eyes.
up. Oh my God, I had some of the most amazing professors,
Good.
amazing mentors, coaches. I got pregnant the end of my freshman year
Okay.
with my oldest daughter, and I ended up having her. She ended up staying with me for my duration in college.
And you made it. You graduated.
With lots
you
of
made it.
support,
Yes,
lots of
thank God.
mentorship, lots of guidance. I had professors who would babysit for me.
Oh my goodness.
They would bring me groceries.
wanted you to succeed.
They wanted me to succeed. I had a lot of support. My best friends at the time, we've been friends since we were like 10. And so after I got pregnant, they literally all sat down and made their schedules so that at least one of us would be home every hour. And we would just rotate the baby on campus. We would meet
That
at
was
the
the
lane.
campus baby.
We would meet at the flame and just rotate the baby, but it worked. And
Yes,
I
it
graduated 3.5 years later.
Yes.
And
What did you
lots
major
of support. Psychology. I have a BS in psychology and
awesome.
juvenile law, criminal justice.
Oh, really?
But what led you to that?
Which one?
Both. I can't even see you as a corrections officer.
I know, right? So I would say psychology. I was just so intrigued with mental health and the way people behave. You know, growing up, I would see my mother and I would see my uncles, and they struggled with addiction and stuff. And so I was just always very curious about the way that people behave, the way that people think. So I was just kind of naturally drawn to psychology.
Okay.
That, and of course, after I failed the nursing program.
Like, this is not for me.
Oh yes, my professor actually told me, he's like, listen, Sierra, this is the third time you failed organic chemistry.
Can't
Don't
stand
sign up for my class no more.
I dropped it.
This is not for you. And so I got into psychology and accelerated. You know, there's something so important about being in alignment with who you are and what your core is and your purpose. And so once I switched over to psychology, I thrived. I thrived. It was amazing.
Wow.
I was in the right place. You know, it was for me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, no anatomy. So
Because a lot of people, you know, because of the nursing field, that's big, and you'll always have a job in the nursing field.
that was my focus.
Your parents want you. That's what they say. They want you to do either nursing, become a physician,
A lawyer.
dental hygienist, an attorney. They always focus on that. So I'm glad you followed and you listened to your professor.
Yes. He kicked me out, but it was for my own good.
And what about corrections officer?
So corrections, that was just the first job I was offered. After I graduated, I just started putting in job applications. And I got a job offer out in Maricopa County, which is in Arizona, as a juvenile detention officer. So I took the job. My husband was there at the time anyway. And so it was just a natural transition. Once I graduated, my daughter and I moved there with him. I took the job and it was amazing. I really loved working with the kids. That's when I realized.
Great experience.
Yeah, it was great. I think that's when I really realized that I had a gift to help people recognize the best versions of themselves. And the department that I worked for at the time, they recognized that too. I was like 23 at the time. And they put me in charge of writing programs for the kids. And yeah, it was great.
They saw it in you.
And I had so much fun. The kids were just naturally drawn to me. And so I started to create programs for the kids. Within a year, I was an acting supervisor.
Yeah, sometimes.
And so I did that for a couple of years. And then we got homesick. We started to have kids, and it was just us there. And so we moved back here to Florida.
Family.
We needed family, especially with those kids.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, child.
You can't do that on your own.
So we came back here, and at the time, my stepmother and my brother are both corrections officers here. And she's like, just apply. And so I applied, went through the academy, excelled. I was sergeant at arms in the academy.
Gosh.
Yes, I was lethal with a Glock 17. I was sergeant at arms.
With your little self.
They laughed at me. They had jokes for days, but I was the sergeant at arms.
That is awesome.
Big things come in small packages,
That's right.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go.
With everything that you have been through, I'm so glad that you are here to tell your story.
Yes.
You know, a lot of times, you know, we get silent. We stay silent. We don't share our story because a lot of times people will look at you and think that she's got it going on. Nothing is wrong with her. She's never gone through any hard times. So telling your story, we love for people to share their story.
I think it's important. I think I've kind of held back a lot. Like I would share a little bit, but not so much. And I realized that I counted it as a robbery. Because I would see so many people. It's just like, man, I would get that all the time. Like, how can you be so inspirational? Like, what have you gone through? When I wrote my first book, To Dance in the Rain, that was the feedback I got. I would show up for speaking engagements. After I wrote that first book, I got my own radio show in Arizona. I would get booked and I would show up and be like, where's Sierra? Like, it's me.
She's right there.
We was expecting an older lady. I was really young, like 24 at that time. And so I realized that while I shared the highlight reel and I shared the inspiration, I didn't really share the story that brought me to that place. I didn't share what created that anointing, what gave me that anointing. And so I was inspired to write Live Limitless. And Live Limitless, I shared more of the story, more of my upbringing, more of my background. Because I wanted people to not only be inspired by my words, but to understand my journey and what it took for me to get to that point. You know, my journey hasn't been all
It hasn't
pretty.
been easy.
It has not been easy
But you
at
kept
all.
the course. You stayed the course.
It's something about continuing to show up and giving God something to work with.
There you go.
I know God is. I gotta just bless this girl because she ain't gonna quit. She gonna keep going until I show up. And literally, that's my mindset. I'm gonna go and God will meet me there. And there'll be times where I felt like I was drowning, but God shows up. He's never felt me.
Like, how did I make this? How did I do this? God.
Yeah, God and grit and grace
That's right.
and focus and determination and the support of community.
There you
Absolutely.
You know?
With everything, though, that you have gone through, did you ever get any type of counseling? Did you ever speak to someone, get any type of therapy to help you push you
Absolutely.
through?
My first encounter with therapy, I think I was like in the 6th grade, and my teachers at the time noticed a big change in me. Like during that time, my parents were having like a custody battle. It was just a lot I was going through at home. And so during that time, I was in gifted classes. I was in gifted since 2nd grade, so I was always in like AP classes. And so my teachers, like something is really different with her. And so they put me into this counseling group called New Horizons. I didn't really open up, so it wasn't effective. You know, at that time, it's just like you don't talk about what goes on in this house.
Telling you my business.
Yeah, and then you were trained like you don't talk about what goes on in this house. And so as I got older, I just learned how to push through. If I don't know how to do nothing else, I know how to push through. I know how to push through. And then as an adult, I realized that while that helped me to survive, if I ever wanted to go from survival to thriving, I couldn't just push through. I had to heal and unpack.
Absolutely.
There's a difference. When you're pushing through, you're in survival mode. But when you want to thrive, you can't thrive with all that heavy stuff. You got to unpack. And so I went from pushing to unpacking. And that was a transition from surviving to thriving.
Wow.
Would you suggest that to somebody to
Absolutely.
seek help? Yes.
Absolutely.
I always tell a lot of people are very fearful to seek help. They don't want to tell their business. What do you think?
Because that's what we were taught.
Yeah.
That's
It's true. It's our upbringing.
And then we don't want to feel judged. We don't want to feel criticized. And a lot of times we don't want to hear the truth.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We don't want to hear the truth. The truth hurts, and it'll hurt you, but then it'll heal you.
Yes.
And I think we have to get comfortable with telling the truth.
Absolutely.
It's not okay for little girls and multitudes have experienced child molestation from the hands of loved ones. It's not okay that a disproportionate amount of our community is suffering with substance abuse and drug abuse.
No, it's not
not okay that such a huge disproportionate amount of our community are incarcerated. And there's so many black families who are growing up without father figures.
It's not okay.
It's not okay.
It's not.
And in our community and the statistics that affect our community, they show that. And so if we're really going to affect positive change, we have to deal with things at the core. And at the core is healing.
Yes.
We got to heal. We have to prioritize healing and normalize mental wellness.
Yes.
You know, I think even having that switch from saying mental illness to mental wellness.
Wellness.
I like that.
We just got to be well. That's it.
Right.
It's
And that's
mental
what a
wellness.
lot of people are fearful of. They don't want that title of being called crazy because that's, once you have a mental illness, that's how it is. So they're just fearful to speak up.
And we have to change that narrative.
We have to change it.
You have to change that narrative because any of us can experience life. Life is happening to all of us.
Oh, yes.
Right now.
Think about how many people are experiencing anxiety now for the first time. Are they crazy because the pandemic hit?
No.
They're human.
Human.
We're human.
Yeah, we all have feelings, emotions. Come on. And we have to also talk about it. That's the problem that we have in our community. We do not discuss these type of topics. We're scared. That's what happened to me. I was scared. Still scared, but it's important to
Push through.
and raise the awareness that we need to. Yeah.
I love how you brought up feelings. I think as a group, we only want to feel the good feelings.
Yeah.
We only want to feel happy and joyful and good.
No.
But that's not the totality of the human experience.
There you go.
You're going to experience some grief. You're going to experience some loss. You're going to experience disappointment. You're going to experience disappointment and setbacks. But what do you do then?
That's right.
Yes.
It's
You know,
not
you can't just
Cinderella.
avoid. Yeah, it's not. It's not this Western philosophy of happily ever after.
Exactly.
You're gonna be real disappointed waiting for the chariot at the end
shocked.
because life is real.
Yes, it
You
is.
just have to learn how to get through those emotions.
Yes.
What's been really helpful for me is allowing myself to feel, but then processing those emotions because feelings are emotions. They're meant to be in emotion.
Yes,
so let them
absolutely.
flow.
In
When you
motion.
suppress it, that's when we have the negative effects of it because we're suppressing that emotion.
That's right.
If you're feeling sad,
Let it
allow yourself to
out.
feel sad for a
Yes.
minute. Honor that feeling
But you don't
and let
want
it
to feel
pass.
weak. That's what a lot of people will say. They don't want to feel weak. Like me, I'm always strong. I don't want to show that emotion. But I'm learning now
it's
through
okay.
therapy that it's okay, to cry and show your emotions.
Because we're human.
There you go.
And it's a part of the human experience.
That's right.
All of those emotions, highs, lows, good seasons, bad
Whatever it
seasons.
is.
It's a part of the human experience.
Yes.
But the human spirit is so strong. We're designed to overcome it all. We are. We're genetically designed to overcome and to heal. But if we
at you.
suppress it, we don't give ourselves a chance to do that.
That's right. Look at you.
That's
Look at
right.
me.
That's
Look at my
right.
sister. The different things that we have been through. We overcame it.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have to push through.
I love that.
to.
Push through.
Yeah, push through.
Push through, and then you get to a point where you kind of exhaust yourself from pushing, and that's when you know it's time to unpack
Yes.
for that next level.
That's right.
I want to travel light.
Pack.
I'm traveling light to this next level. I want to be able
like
to gather
that.
everything that's for me here.
Yes.
So I'm not carrying last season's disappointments to my next level. I dealt with it. That's why we have to face it.
That's right.
I dealt with my disappointment. I dealt with my mistakes.
There you go.
I dealt with my grief.
That's right.
I dealt with my loss. And because I did it, I can unpack it here. I ain't gotta take it.
No.
We done with that.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Next level.
Yes.
And the lighter you travel, the higher you can go.
Yes.
Just you
All
go
right, you're
far.
preaching in here today.
Yes, she is.
So unpack. What Erica Badu said?
That's right.
Pack light.
Yes, exactly.
That's
I
true.
like that.
She was right.
Yes,
Yes.
she was. But what keeps you going each day?
Honestly, my relationship with God.
Yes.
I can't start my day. I can't. I don't. Even throughout the day, I have to feel so connected
Yes.
to God. And you know, I struggled with that growing up because I always felt like I wasn't holy enough. And whenever I would open my mouth, people would hear it's something. They can hear that I have a relationship with God.
Absolutely.
But I would always run away from it because I didn't feel holy enough. You know, I still like trap music. I get with my friends and I still do all these things. But I think it was because I grew up in the church at the time that we weren't even allowed to wear skirts or makeup or
What
nails.
did they want you to wear? Just a little.
You couldn't wear pants either. You had to
Long
be covered.
dresses.
Yeah, so like if you
okay.
wore makeup or nails, you backslid.
Worldly.
Yeah, so I had to unlearn those things. Now that church, the same church is where I first experienced the Holy Ghost, so at 10. So these ladies, they were real.
Okay.
They were just very traditional.
Okay.
And I feel like where we are now, He's sending the church outside of these four walls. The church is closed.
Yes.
The church is closed. The doors are closed. But I go into spaces and I can't help but accept the fact that God is using me and my story and my
Yes.
voice
Yes.
and my anointing to
yes.
impact change, no matter what I look like.
Yes.
Because I know the spirit that I carry.
You go.
And I had to be okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, because I was holding myself back. No
Yeah.
one ever
You
told me
became
that I
okay with
wasn't
it.
holy enough. This is just the idea that I had.
That you had. Okay.
Yeah.
Negative
And so
self-talk.
negative and limiting beliefs.
Yes.
The thing that helped me a lot though was the story of Paul in the Bible. You remember you know that song? I can't remember the lady's name, but it's a song. It's called "Thorns in My Flesh." And she says, God, there are thorns in my flesh that I can't seem to overcome.
Okay.
So if you remove these thorns, I'll be everything you want me to be.
Wow.
And that was
So
a
the
story
thorns are
from Paul's.
removed.
Yeah, he didn't remove the thorns. So that was the story of Paul. I always loved that song, and I spoke to my dad about it once. And he said, well, you know God never removed those thorns, right? I'm like, how do you know? You don't even know the song. He's like, that's not a song, silly. That's the story
So
of
he
Paul.
was telling you.
So Paul was telling God, I want to go out and do all these things that you're telling me to do, but God, take these sins away. Take these temptations and these desires away so I can be more holy, and then I can do your will. And God said, go anyway. My grace is sufficient. I never asked you to be perfect. I just told you to be purposed.
Wow.
And that
I like
story
that.
created a huge shift for me.
For you.
Because I don't have to wait until I'm perfect. I don't have to
go.
wait until I'm holy enough.
right.
I can open my mouth and speak and share and speak God's word right where I'm at.
There you go.
In
You're
the,
not
in the
perfect.
thick of
We're
my
not
mess.
perfect.
We're not perfect. And God didn't expect us to be.
He didn't.
You know, he walked with,
They stoned him. They
listen,
betrayed him.
I always say Jesus was in the thug section. He was among those who needed him.
Yes.
And he needed to be able to relate and people not feel judged.
There
And
you
so
go.
I had to be okay with that. And there's some things that I know that as I continue to elevate in my relationship and my maturity in Christ develops, certain things are going to fall off, but I don't have to wait until then to do God's
That's
work.
right.
I don't have to
Oh my
wait.
gosh. What growth.
Yeah.
This is
I
real.
love that.
Love it. Thanks for sharing that.
Well said.
yeah.
We're not gonna let you off the hook. We want to talk about Live Limitless Authors Academy.
Yes.
Talk to us. Tell
Oh
us.
my God. It's been a blessing. I'll just say that. It's been, man, the journey. I would say I started out, after I started writing books for myself, they became bestsellers. Okay. People would say, can you help me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. People would say, can you help me write my book?
Right.
All right, sure. So I'm like, okay, that means I need to start an author coaching program. So I started an authors coaching program. And at that time, I was partnered with the publisher who published my book.
Right.
And so I would walk them through the author development process and then send them over to publishing. We did that for a while, and then it just became increasingly apparent that I needed to break out and do my own thing.
Yeah.
You know, she was out in Arizona, and she was a lot older. You know, she was 85 years old, and so the demographic that I was bringing in, there was some issues with her being able to relate to the content.
Okay.
And so it was just natural for me just to kind of from there develop a publishing company.
Yourself.
Yes, and so from there I would do the author development, brand story strategy, and then I was always already doing success coaching. And what I found is that people would come to me with stories, and they were still in it. And it's like I don't want you just to tell your story. I want you to to stand outside of your story and then offer a solution. Well, the only way to extract the lesson from what you've been through is if you learn the lesson.
Oh my gosh.
You have to learn it. And once you learn it, now we can prop you up and position you to be in a position of authority. You know what I mean? Because the book gives you credibility. And so one of the models in our Authors Academy is story, content, and call to action. We don't focus just on the story. Because the story will inspire people, but people buy solutions. And so I wanted our clients to be able to generate revenue for their books, because so often we see people, they write the book, they tell their story, and then they have a box of books in their office that they're collecting dust. And so in order to not, you might sell them to your friends and families, your book launch, but what happens after that?
There you go.
And so our unique formula is to create books that are of value. What's of value? Solutions. The how-to, not the why, not what happened to you, but how did you come through it, and how can you coach others through that process?
Love it.
And so the way that we set up our chapters in that book is we start with your story, because that's what's going to make people relate to you.
Of course.
Now your content, what do you know for sure? What have you learned? What's on the other side of that story? That's what you've been through, but how did you come out?
There you go.
That's the content part. And then the call to action.
It is.
Yeah, and then the call to action. What is that next step that your reader can take to experience the transformation that your book is promising? Because your book is a promise, much like your brand. You know what I mean? And so that's how we position our books. And so with that formula, we've been able to, have 98% bestsellers in our academy. Because our authors are not just telling their stories, they're sharing a solution. And then they're also building a tribe. Because that's another thing that we start with. What is your ideal reader avatar? Create a persona for your ideal reader, because you know her pain.
That's right.
You know her voice. You can speak a language that she can relate to, and so when you do that, now you're building a tribe. And so now that your book is done, you already know the pain points and the challenges of your ideal reader avatar. Now you can continue to create programs, conferences, solutions. When you are clear about the problem and you're a solution to the problem, now you add value to that space.
Wow.
And you've been doing this for how long?
I started the Authors Academy in 2017.
2017.
It's about 3 years.
Wow. You're a pro.
Yes,
you sound like a pro.
Yes, she is.
I've been in action.
There you go.
Making it happen for a lot of people.
Making it happen. I made a lot of mistakes along the way, though.
It's okay.
I didn't know how to start a publishing company. I was just winging it at first, and I learned so much along the way about Library of Congress registration, ISBN assignment, copyrights. I had a issue at one point with a client who was upset that her book cover was similar to another book cover in our academy. And so I had to explain to her, this is our branding touch. And so we use words like faith and limitless on all of our books. That's our brand promise. You know what I mean? That wasn't unique to you. That was that's a staple of our brand. But she just didn't know, and I was still learning. So now we have these conversations up front. We're going to have an onboarding process.
No confusion.
No confusion. Make sure it's a good fit. That just made me a better businesswoman. Now I learned to use contracts. I have a team of attorneys on board. Yeah, because now I learned that lesson at that level, because now I'm handling celebrity projects. And I've learned. I'm already refined and polished.
You had those scratches, but they've healed.
They've healed, but they were necessary.
Trial and error.
They were necessary. That's why we can't be dismayed or get discouraged when we're having hard times. What is this trying to teach me? That's always been my mindset. What can I learn from this?
Absolutely.
Because if I can apply the lesson, I can level up.
And you leveled up.
Heavy.
Sarah, you have launched Limitless Cares, Inc.
Yes.
We watched your organization give away $10,000 the other day.
Yes.
Please share with us about this amazing nonprofit that you have.
Oh my goodness. So Limitless Cares, this is my passion project. I came home one day and I just drove around some of my old neighborhoods. I had just come back from Miami. A lot of my celebrity clientele is in Miami. So these are millionaires, multimillionaires, celebrities. And I'm in their mansions. I'm driving in their Rolls Royces. And then I'm coming back to my community. And then I'm going back to Miami. And one day I'm like, guys, you really playing with me right now. At the time, I was actually going through like an eviction. Like things had just gotten crazy for me. And I'm just like, God, why would you show me that you're going to use me to disrupt generational poverty? And then I'm working with all these rich people, and I'm coming home and having my own financial struggles. And he says, I'm giving you a preview of the room. I'm giving you a preview. I'm developing your character. It's coming.
Look at that.
It's coming. And so when I came back, I'm driving around like, okay, God, I finally get it.
At least you recognize that.
I recognized it, and that was the key, because once I saw it, he released it. He released it. I think he had to know that he can trust me with it.
There you go.
I want to make sure that you're not going to blow it on a bunch of bags. I want to make sure that you're going to do the right thing with it. And so what I realized is that poverty had always been my biggest pain point. Broke had been my greatest pain point.
Right, okay.
And since I had been, broke for so long, in my childhood, I don't know any rich people in my family.
Right.
Everybody that I know lives in the projects or on food stamps or on Section 8.
Okay.
My first time experiencing wealth close hand was with my clients.
Yes.
This is the room that my gift had, brought me to. And so I had to understand exactly what are the core contributors to poverty.
There you go.
And I realized it was mindset, unchecked trauma, access to capital, financial literacy, and the lack of community. And so when I launched Limitless Cares, our entire mission is to disrupt generational poverty. And so I wanted to do it to disrupt it. We're going to shamble that thing because poverty is a system.
Yes, it is.
It's been a system. And so with the current crisis, I think COVID-19 brought everything to the forefront. It exposed our government system, our healthcare system, our educational system, our government. 2020 was the year that we saw
everything.
We saw the truth.
Wake up.
And we saw how our systems were broken already.
Oh, yes.
They were hanging on by a thread. And we can rebuild these same systems, or we can disrupt those and create new ones that serve all of us.
There you go.
And so I wanted to do my part, and that's what Limitless Cares does. We can't wait for a government or a president to come and save us. We can't wait for November 3rd to happen.
No.
We're going to be at the polls, but we can't wait.
No.
Yes.
There are people hurting now.
Right now.
People suffering now. There are kids who need help now. I was one of those kids.
Yes.
I would go home and, I know what it's like to go home and not have running water or electricity. And so when we did a donation to the New Image Youth Center, I just felt connected to those kids. I'm like, it's really hard to come and be positive and be focused and to learn. You don't know what you're going to eat when you get home.
No.
Or you're going to go home to dysfunction. And so the fund for New Image was an emergency fund.
Okay.
Let's serve the need that these kids are experiencing right now.
Okay.
They were having children at the time who were homeless, who were living in hotels, who didn't have running water. And so that fund was directly for that. And whatever we have left, now we can bring in programs.
Okay.
Also, I'm in negotiation right now with Regions Bank.
Okay.
They just were awarded a $100 million fund. They typically send that money to really big organizations. And so now their CEO decided they wanted to disperse to grassroots organizations.
Good.
And the banker who opened up my nonprofit account happens to be one of the decision makers.
Oh, my
He was in the
goodness.
bank that day. And at the right place at the right time. He just asked me, so what's this for? I'm like, it's for my nonprofit. What's your nonprofit about? And I start telling him, and he's like, oh, wow, hold on one second.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
He left and came back and say, hey, can you send me a pitch? He's like, we have a $100 million fund that was just approved. It normally goes to big organizations, but now we're focusing on grassroots.
Yes.
We would love to consider Limitless Cares.
And you happen to be right there at that time.
Nothing but that.
Oh,
Obedience.
my Lord. Yes.
Obedience opens
word.
the door. Obedience.
Yes,
and so
obedience.
it's just been amazing. It's just been amazing. We have so many other organizations that we're working on being a resource recipient for. And I'm excited about seeing the work 5 years from now,
Yes.
just from these small efforts.
Right.
And we don't want to just give money.
Yes.
That's a temporary fix.
Right.
Money is not a gratifying grace.
You
We
wanna
want
be
to
out
come
there.
in. Yeah, we're going to come in. We want to teach these kids.
Okay.
We
Absolutely.
want to bring counselors and mentors in. Let's figure out what their
Yes.
talent is. Let's cultivate that gift.
There you go.
Let's teach them these things so they don't have to experience, in adulthood,
Right.
recovering from a childhood. Let's heal them now.
Right.
I love it. Love
These
it.
are our
Love
future.
it.
My gosh.
Man, God bless you.
Yes.
Wow.
Everything that you're doing. Everything.
God's grace.
Yes, He is. Yes. Oh, wow.
What does Sierra do, though? How do you take care of you? You're helping all these people. You're helping all these kids. You're helping these celebrities. You're helping people like me and my sister with books. Tell me about Sierra.
So Sierra is an extreme introvert. I require alone
We could not
time.
tell.
I know. I get that all the time, but I require alone time. And so I have to go into myself.
Okay.
And that can be sometimes reading a book. I love listening to sermons. I love T.D. Jakes and Dr. Miles Monroe. I listen to a lot of sermons. They keep me grounded. I'm attracted to the word. I really am. And so for me, that's what fills me up.
Okay.
I like walking. Anything green and
You
water.
like?
Oh
Yes,
my gosh. I
water
feel
is my
it's-
thing.
Yes. Give me some blue water and
Yes.
some sunshine and some green trees. So taking walks in nature, but I definitely need at least 30 minutes a day to myself.
Okay.
There you go.
And I'm just processing, having devotions. Mind mapping helps me out a
There you
lot.
go.
Because I
Okay.
carry so many thoughts in my head. I got to do this, do this, do this. So after I finish my morning devotion, I have a little journal.
Okay.
She's my twin.
It's like chicken scratch, but I'm literally just dumping everything out of my
That's
brain.
right.
And then once I get to the office, I'm looking at my chicken scratch,
Yes.
and now I'm making a priority list.
Okay.
And it works. It works.
We
for
see
me.
that it works. What do you do for fun? What do you do?
For fun, I have some really, really dope friends.
Okay.
And when I'm with my friends, I can totally be myself. I don't have to be on.
Yes.
I don't have to be serving.
No makeup. You don't have
I'm
to
gonna still wear my makeup though.
She has to be cute.
I'm gonna be cute.
Eyelashes.
But my friends, I've been friends with them since I was 10 years old. They don't require.
That's like
they don't need me to
family.
be Sierra. They call me C.
C.
And I just get to be myself, and
Yes.
we laugh and we have a good time.
Because you can be yourself.
I can be myself, and so I need that.
Yes.
And so I prioritize at least one day a week just with my friends and family.
Good.
I do have a big family, so Sundays I look forward to Sunday dinners with my dad.
You still
and my
do Sunday
grandma. We do
dinners?
That
That's
is
Sunday
nice.
just awesome.
You know, I feel like we, as a people/community, have done away with that.
I haven't.
It seems like
Yeah,
it.
we do Sunday dinners.
I love it.
Yeah.
The whole family get together.
Grandma
we eat.
cooking and
Yeah.
making all this good
And
food.
not only that, the
for
conversation
the
that
soul.
takes place also.
The
That's so
laughter,
cool.
table.
the laughter, and every family has their stuff, child, but it's
Yeah, oh,
funny.
yes,
It's
of course.
funny. Like we laugh, we have a good time, and it's just something about being able to be around your grandmother
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
and your dad.
That's
you know,
right.
life is so fleeting, and so I cherish those moments
right.
with my nieces running around
That's
and
right.
hugging me. I cherish those moments,
That's right.
and I don't have to do a speech. I ain't got to share. I can
No,
just
be
exist
yourself.
and be in the moment. And I noticed that fills me up.
Yes.
And so when I realized that fills me up, I started prioritizing that.
Okay.
I don't care what's going on. If it's on a Sunday, I ain't gonna be able to do it.
Yes.
I can't do
Because
it.
you have
for
to have
you.
your
I
time,
have
your
to have
family
my
time.
Good for you.
Yeah. For those beautiful girls and your hubby.
Yes.
You know, this pandemic has really opened my eyes. I know it opened all of ours, but it just lets people should realize that it's just a way to put a stop to everything. Spend more family time,
Yes.
time with your loved ones, etc. How has this pandemic affected you and your family?
I would say it definitely forced me to realize what was more important.
Right.
I started prioritizing my relationships. It makes you realize, like I said, you know, what's important, what matters to you.
Exactly.
And then you realize how many things don't matter. And then I got rid of those things because I realized
Good.
certain relationships, certain things that I was attached to, it wasn't serving
Toxic.
me. It was toxic.
Yes.
And even if it's not quote unquote toxic, if it doesn't appeal to my future, it only appeals to my past,
Past.
I'm going forward. And so it's release it with love. I'm in a new place. And
I like
I
that,
think all
release
of
it
us should
with
be in a
love.
new place. We should all be in a new place.
Yes,
I'm definitely
If
in a
COVID
new
hasn't
place.
shifted you, you might be a tree.
That's good.
Yeah, because
You might be a
it
tree.
needs to shift you.
There's a shift that has taken
be a
place.
shift, yes.
You know, and I get concerned when people say that nothing's changed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
That's a
concerned
problem.
if they are aware
That's
that
a big-
life has changed. You just haven't realized
Yes,
it yet.
drastically.
Yeah, there's a shift that has taken place. And so for me, I would say COVID has made me more aware. And with that awareness has come more responsibility. And with the awareness of that responsibility has come more knowledge and more research.
Okay.
So I find myself reading more.
There you go.
I find myself, trying to understand the stories in the
Yes.
Bible and seeing myself in some of the characters.
Right.
I see myself, taking time just to be with family. When before it's just like, I'm busy, I'm chasing this dream, I'm chasing this
Right,
goal.
right.
And now I'm just like, this is the real bag right
Yes.
here.
There you go.
Yes.
There you
Like,
go.
this is the real
That's
bag. And I
priceless.
thank God I didn't realize it too late. I thank God it didn't take for me to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Prioritizing family. That's my safe
So
place.
important.
That's my core.
Yes, that's
I
right.
can lose every client. I can never
have
accomplish
family.
anything else, but I have this.
That's
and
right.
this is worth more to me than
Worth more.
anything.
Completely priceless.
Completely priceless.
Yes. What about this police brutality and the social injustice that we are going through? What is your take on that?
See, the thing is, we never stop going through it. It never stops.
It's out of control now.
Yeah, well, we have
there you
cameras
go.
now.
That's
Right,
what it
there
is.
it is.
Filmed. And what I love about now is that these young people are amazing.
They are.
I'm inspired.
Relentless.
I went out to a protest and it was so many young people. I was so inspired.
Yes.
They are fearless. Now, I was worried about the young people at one time because they were a little too fearless for me. They were eating the dishwasher pies and they
Come
just had a lot
on.
going on. I was concerned about the children at one point. But I'm so inspired by them because they have fearlessness and we can't threaten them with death or incarceration because they've seen that firsthand.
Yes, they
There you
have.
go.
They've seen it firsthand. They built up an immunity towards it. And I think we needed that.
Yes.
And so with the police brutality, it's been going on for a long time. But now more and more people are awake and aware
Videotaping.
and not willing to let it go
Yes,
by.
That's right.
They thought the protests were going to last a day or two. We've been protesting since the beginning of time. But this time we are demanding change.
That's right.
We're knocking down buildings.
Yes.
We're demanding change because we're tired.
Tired.
You know
Sick and
what?
tired.
We're sick and tired, and we don't have to take it.
No.
I think the thing is people have realized their power. We are powerful.
very powerful.
Very powerful.
When we come together.
There you go.
When we unite, when we organize,
Yes.
when we put purpose first,
Yes.
when we focus more on survival of the community versus survival of the fittest. And I think that's what's been so detrimental to our country. It's always been survival of the fittest, survival of the fight between the have and the have-nots. But no matter whether we're purple, green, black, or white,
matter.
we have the same desires.
There you go.
We want to live. We want to experience love. We want to take care of our families, black or white. We all have the same goals.
Absolutely.
How can we exist in unity?
That's right.
You know, back in the days, and I think that's why it was so easy for the Europeans to come over, and slavery was so powerful because for that culture, it wasn't about fighting and survival of the fittest. It was about we all take care of the land, we all take care of the kids, we all cook, and we all eat. It was a village. It was a village mentality. And so you have this other type of culture come, and they were very different.
Yes.
And I think we have to get back to that because we have to share this planet, or we're going to destroy it. We have to learn how to share this planet and exist on this planet. What I really, really loved is that during the protests, I saw so many people who were not black there.
That's just beautiful.
Standing on the side of justice,
Yes.
standing on the right side of
about.
history. And I was so inspired by that because this is not about black or white.
No.
Me being pro-black does not mean that I'm anti-white. It means that I'm pro-justice.
Yes. There you
go.
And I love to see so many people, white and Asian, standing on the side of justice to say justice, a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And I think that's what's going to create the shift. We needed more of our white and allies to speak up and say, this is not right.
Yes.
And not only are we going to speak up about it, we're going to stand and we're going to fight with them.
There you go.
That's right.
And so that's what's so beautiful about this dynamic. I do believe that we're on the cusp of change. And this is the thing about change. It's rough right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
But any change is disruptive.
Yes.
Change is disruptive, especially 400 years of oppression. It's going to be disruptive.
400 years.
400 years. And so what we're feeling right now is the discomfort of disruption. But we're going to get through this. We're going to see a change that's already happening. It's just a little bit uncomfortable right now, but we're going to navigate this moment. And I trust God, and I trust in the future of the kids that we're leaving behind.
Yes.
That's why it's so important for us to do our part, so we can
Absolutely.
leave something for them to work with. But I believe that the planet is going to get better.
Yeah,
It will.
It is. It's
feel that
changing.
too.
We're seeing things change,
Yes.
and I'm grateful to be alive. Such a
See
time
this.
as this.
Totally grateful.
Such a time as this. We get to be here and experience this, you know, and make a difference.
Yes.
Definitely.
There has been a lot of controversy with 3 little words. Black Lives Matter. What are your thoughts on those words?
I don't understand the controversy because we're not saying that white lives don't matter. We're saying that historically, black lives have been disregarded.
Right.
And we're just trying to bring it to the
That's it.
forefront that our lives matter too.
Absolutely.
We don't have to say that white lives matter because history shows us that they always
it,
have.
right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We don't have to make a reminder.
No.
What we need to sound the alarm on is that black lives matter too.
matter.
We matter too. You know, we've contributed to this country just as much as anybody else.
Yes.
And it's not fair that we're
not.
disproportionately represented in the prison system. It's not fair that we're
not fair.
disproportionately represented in all the statistics
Right.
that are detrimental when it comes to our health care and our
That's right.
education. Our lives matter too.
Definitely does.
That's why it's important for us, though, to give back. We can't wait for policy change.
We can't.
We can't wait. We
waiting
can't wait
forever.
another 400 years.
That's what I was
We
about
can't
to
wait.
say.
We have to act now,
Now,
because
right now.
the future of our children, it depends on what we do right now. The future is not tomorrow. The
No.
future is right now, because what we do right now is going to directly impact the tomorrow that we see.
Yes.
If we're blessed to see it.
Absolutely.
But what we do now is going to matter. What we do now matters.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Black Lives Matter. I love how downtown Orlando, that I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it, but
I have. Yeah, I drove over it.
the other day.
It's a beautiful thing to
Beautiful.
see.
My gosh.
And I love how so many people are just waking up.
They're waking up.
They're
finally.
waking up. It's a beautiful thing to see. Like 2020 is the year that we all see.
This is the
And
year
it's
of
a difference.
change.
It's a year we see.
Yes.
That's right.
But it's twofold. Not only do you have to see it, you gotta be willing to take action.
There you go.
Too.
Right,
You
don't
know, it's
just
not
sit
enough to
there.
see
You
it.
gotta make a move.
Just sit there.
You gotta make a move. Gotta make a move.
Y'all better get out there and vote.
Exactly.
Please vote.
Get out there and vote, please.
That's
Please
important.
vote. Please.
Tell the viewers how they can contact you. You know, we don't want you to leave. We really don't want you to
I
leave.
know, this is fun.
We don't want you to leave, but I think that this is going to be cut off in any minute. So we want the viewers to be able to contact you.
Absolutely. So you guys can follow me on all social media platforms at Sierra Rainge. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Sierra Rainge. You can visit me at www.sierrarange.com. And if you're interested in becoming our next best-selling author, be sure to visit www.livelimitlesspublishing.com.
Yes.
Thank you so
you guys
much
for
being
having
with
us.
us.
You're so
Oh my
welcome.
goodness. Sierra, you know it's your time, right? It's your time.
From your mouth to God's ears.
That's right. You just are such a blessing
Yes, you
and
are.
a servant leader, and we just appreciate everything that you're doing in the community.
Yes, keep it going.
Keep going. And we're here to support.
I
Any way we
will.
can help, please
Absolutely.
contact us.
I'm going to keep that in mind, too.
Yes.
We'll be calling on you ladies.
That's
Call
right.
us.
We're
Yes.
here. We're here. So we hope that we're going to get you to come back.
Yes.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right. Awesome.
Anytime.
Okay. Thank you. We want to thank you for joining us this evening. Please tune in next Tuesday at 6 p.m. for another guest right here from our community. In closing, there is a quote that says, "It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. The ability to triumph begins with you. Always." Tonight, Sierra showed that no matter your upbringing, you too can overcome and build a life, a legacy, and a future filled with passion, purpose, and unwavering faith. We are real sisters sharing real stories within our community. We thank you for tuning in to Candid Conversations. Welcome to Candid Conversations online and TV show, a space where the least desired and hardest topics are brought to light in order to heal as a community.